One of the most important men here that contribute to the development of Barcelona is Antonio Gaudí. I'm right here in front of his masterpiece. It was created in 1880 and it's still ongoing until now. It's not done yet. It's called the Church of La Sagrada Família, as you probably know, is a symbol of Barcelona. The design of this church is very different compared to other cathedrals and other churches that I've seen so far. So it's definitely a highlight of a trip to Barcelona. The main entrance. Wow, look at that intricate design. I see why this church takes, 200 years to be built. So it's still building now, as you can see the scaffolding. A Christmas tree. There's a random Christmas tree in the middle of a church. So Gaudí died before this church has really being built. It's only 20% its completion, so it's a shame that he didn't get to see his work, really. Right to the tower, as you can see, the cross. And the design that they use, look at that. The art that they use is completely different than the Gothic cathedrals that I've seen so far. Here's another angle of the church. You can see there's a massive crane right behind it. Still under construction, 200 years later. It resembles a Gothic side towards the right side with the see the glass pane windows. See that? That curved rooftop. That is very, very Gaudí right there. I find this interesting, the color scheme of the side building is very different than the main cathedral. So you can tell that this was created under a different materials, under a different era. So this side were more likely constructed after the main towers have been completed. And this is part of the construction going on. As you can see, they're creating new columns with the cranes going up. Unfortunately, I don't have an entry ticket to go in. This church is very difficult to go in. You need to book it weeks in advance. So I'm happy just to see the exterior. And for next time, I'm going inside. My friend Travis here said the completion will be 2030 with private donation.
Ticket sales,
so
funding it.
There we go, ticket sales are funding it. So they're still making it based on ticket sales. That's why the entry tickets is very expensive. I'm here at Parc Güell, another piece of art designed by Antonio Gaudí, to see how beautiful it is. I mean, it looks great already from the back of it. I have a guided tour going on. I think by missing out the Sagrada, I think it'll be worthwhile to come here for a visit. This is a sample viaduct of Gaudí's work. As you can see, it's reinforced by steel there. It has a really organic design, modernism of the way he designed it. It's very different from his era back in the 1800s and early 1900s. This is one of his kind of last projects. Gaudí's house, where he used to live for the last 10 years of his life. Hidden between the bushes. You can see the top spire colored in green. And look at this. This is a nice vantage point from the central walkway. You can see a view of the city, and this park here is located on top of the hill where Gaudí and Güell built this masterpiece. Square of Nature, that's why it's called it, because it's surrounded by nature. It's very comfortable. It's designed ergonomically, and mind you, this is in the 1900s. So it has the lumbar support, it has a ceramic tile that makes it really cool in summer. And I can kind of lean back my head like that, looking up the sky. And it has a really nice neck support as well. This is really, really nice. This is the view of the garden, the viaducts that I was in just before, and I'm in the main central terrace here. This ceramic has some really interesting kind of designs to it. It has some work of art too, it's quite cute. This terrace that is connected to these columns. And the guy told me that the columns are actually hollow, it's empty inside, where all the sand will absorb from the terrace down to the cistern above, and they'll reuse the water for the plants. And you can see the head of lions right there. They're also hollow, and it just, when it rains, it pours down all the water down to the flowers. And here are the columns that is connected with the terrace. The columns are bent to support all the central column, all the side columns. They're tilting towards inside. It looks like a fairy tale, an inspiration that was taken from Hansel and Gretel, as if you were living in a fairy tale. The guardian of this house, this park, is not gargoyle, it's not lion, Like it's a lizard. Look at this salamander right here. It actually represents the guardian.
But remember,
How cute that is. It's made of ceramics. It's the head of a dragon. Right guarding the entrance of Parc Güell. It's a piece of work of art. It's quite beautiful. As you can see all the flowers, the design. It's made of broken ceramics, which is making it even more interesting. And here's the fairy tale houses. Here it is, Parc Güell, from the viewpoint of one of the fairy tale houses. I'm gonna zoom in here to see the lizard. Right there is a lizard. And down here is the head of a dragon and the park at the end. Here it is, a viewpoint from the terrace of nature. You can see the fairy tale houses down there. I'm gonna zoom in there, just in the backdrop is the Sagrada Família and view of the ocean. Great view from Parc Güell. The viewpoint of three crosses because of these three crosses right there. You can see the Sagrada Família with the Barcelonian skyline. The backdrop is the Mediterranean Sea. Such a big city. You can see Montjuic right there. And the city keeps going all the way to the other side. You see that structure behind me? It's another example of Gaudí's architectural style. It's called Casa. Now I want you to imagine that we're in early 1900. I believe he was the early adopter of this new modern style. I promise you it will be the last time I mention Antonio Gaudí. The last structure behind me is another example of his work. It's called Casa Batlló. And here's how it looks like up close. As you can see, the standard wavy structure and the interesting design that Gaudí has used with the colors that is quite unusual, and the roof again with the spire that is similar to the one in Parc Güell. Even right now, as you can see, this is a street of Gracia. Casa Batlló is a standout comparing to other structures in the area. The fact that he could do it, creating these kind of structures around the city, showcase his bravery, his courage in being able to kind of put these buildings together, even though back then it wasn't the norm to create this kind of style of buildings. I really hope you've enjoyed my trip of Barcelona, all the highlights, and how one man, Antonio Gaudí, has transformed this whole city from a standard, normal, kind of Gothic European city into a very unique style design of a different type of architecture that we see today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!